Welcome to Borderless Piano Academy. Today I'm going to teach you the famous song from Titanic's soundtrack, My Heart Will Go On. I've arranged it for easy piano, and you can show off to your friends and family members who want to learn this piece. It's super romantic, so you can also serenade your loved ones. So in this class, as usual, we'll start with a formula of how to work on a piece of music from scratch until it's ready to perform. First, we'll find out the time signature, then we're going to work out the rhythm of the hands separately. Then we're going to work out the notes of the hands, we'll analyze the structure, and then we're going to practice in slow tempo and put the hands together. And then we'll talk about interpretation, and pedaling, and many other things like phrasing. Okay, so let's start. The first thing we look at is the time signature. Here we have 4/4, which means there are 4 quarter note beats in every measure. Let's start with the right hand. On the right hand, we have a measure that has only 2 eighth notes instead of 4 quarter note beats, right? So there are 3 quarter note beats missing. What happens? Well, we call this an anacrusis, and an anacrusis means that the melody starts a beat or 2 early. And the real start of the piece is when the main beat comes, so downbeat, okay? And this is how it sounds, so... Okay, so bottom, those 2 notes are just kind of like a suspense, it's like a foreshadow, okay? So that bottom, that's where the main beat comes. And so that's why we don't need to really put a whole measure before the piece actually starts. So technically, that is kind of the real start of it, okay? So this is the introduction, and let's find out the rhythm. I will use a slow tempo so that you can feel comfortable and you can join me and imitate what I'm doing. I will taw and clap the rhythm while we have the metronome click to 60 beats per minute. Let's start. 2, 3. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da. Ta, 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 2, 3, 4, hold. Okay, wonderful. So far we have 8 bars, okay? And in these 8 bars, the same phrase repeats 2 times with a slightly different ending, right? So instead of ba-dum, bum, 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 which is what happens bar 3, in the end we actually have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And we can call this section the introduction because this is just instrumental and the song has not yet started, okay? In these 8 bars, there are a few things you should know so that you do it right. When you see a tied note to the same note head, then we don't repeat, we do not play the second time it comes, okay? Make sure that whenever there is a tied note to the same note head, we don't repeat. But if it's a different note, then we do repeat it, okay? So that's rule number 1. Here we have something else, actually. Bar 3, we have a little note with a kind of an X on it, okay? And that's a grace note. It is an ornament. It's not considered to be main part of the melody, but it is there for decoration purposes, okay? And so we actually play it before the main beats. So we go ba-dum, okay? Ba-dum, bum, bum, okay? This is how it sounds. Okay? Okay, so okay, so just so you know, it's really fast and ta-dum, bum, and it comes before the main beat, okay? So let's keep going to the next section. Da 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 ta 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 ta. Wonderful. So if you realize, we have again 8 bars and 4 are the same as the next 4, and this time it's actually exactly the same rhythm. Okay, in this section there's something that is happening with the tied notes, and this is called a syncopation. Okay, because we have a tied note on the first beat, so we don't play the main beat, and it creates this kind of suspense moment, almost like a hiccup too. Da 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 dum ba bum da 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 dum ba bum. So normally the strong beats are here, da 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 da. I'm tapping on first and third beats, which are the strong beats in a 4/4 bar, right? So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, da 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 da. And so as you can hear, da, there's that kind of feeling there, and instead of this da 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 da, okay, if it was like this, it would be super boring, right? So syncopations are added to the pieces, usually to spice up the rhythm. Okay, so there's something you just learned. All right, let's keep going. So now we figured out all these things. We go to the next section where finally the vocals come in. Okay, so let's tell this. I'll give an empty bar. 2 3 4. Ta 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 2 3 ta rest 2 ta 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 2 3 hold 4 ta 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 ta. All right. So again, we have this section. So let's call the first introduction A section, then the B section. Now we're in C section, okay, where the vocals come. And in this case, we again have 2 phrases of the same thing happening, same rhythm, okay? And the first one is from measure 17 until measure 25, and then from 25 until 33, okay? There is just slight alteration in the end. Where measure 23 and 31 are a little bit different, okay? Let's go to the next section, and every time that you feel like I'm going too fast, you can stop the video and go back, replay it, and take your time, okay? Ta 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 hold 3 4 rest ta 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 ta. All right, I will stop it there. It's a bit awkward tying these things because there are no notes, no pitches, right? But don't worry, if I can do it, you can do it. Don't be embarrassed. Go somewhere that nobody else is listening, okay? So it helps though because you can actually hold these notes while you sing, whereas if you just like clap the rhythm, you may actually not pay attention to how long that note is held. So this is important that you kind of do it while tying. Okay, so in this section, again, we have two phrases that are very, very similar. The only difference is the second one, okay? So the first one ends with a whole note, bar 39, okay? And then we have that bum, 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 which kind of bridges that section to the next one. And then the second time, we actually have bar 47, which repeats the previous bar's rhythm, okay? And this is to emphasize how important it is. It's almost like one more try before we finish, right? It's kind of like that feeling. So you have to really, put your efforts into making that sound so big, okay? And then we actually have two half notes, dum, bar 48, bum, and then we go back to a place that we already know. And that is the very beginning of this piece where we have the same rhythm for the first two bars, and then it kind of slowly dies, okay? It's basically two half notes, then whole notes, and then whole note plus fermata, which means we add a half of the value on top of that. Okay, so that would mean 6 quarter note beats there. Great, so let's tie that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta 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 ta, ta 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 ta, ta, 3, 4, and ta, 2, 3, 4. Keep holding. 5 and 6. Wonderful. Let's now take a look at the left hand rhythm. The left hand rhythm is very straightforward. As you can see, the entire first page is whole notes. Okay, so we just hold them 4 quarter note beats. In this case, it will be this, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta, and so on, okay? Then we have the next page, bar 17, where it changes, and again, it is very straightforward. We have quarter notes, okay? So basically, 2, 3, 4. Ta, 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 and so on. And then the only difference is bar 23, which has 2 quarter notes and 1 half note, so it would be so ta 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 ta, rests 2. Okay, so we have also 8 notes that I've just taught there. Then we go back to the quarter notes. Then we have following 8 notes. So there isn't really anything complex there. If we look at the last page, again, it's the same. There is nothing that is complicated. And the end is the same rhythm as the right hand, where we have a whole note with a fermata. So it's actually considered 6 quarter note beats. And that's it. Let's now figure out the notes on the right hand. Let's now take a look at the right hand notes, and before we do that we need to figure out what key we are in, okay? So we have 4 sharps in the key signature. This means either we are in a major key or it's relative minor. So with key signatures with sharps, the way we find out is we look at the last sharp and then go half a step up. So that is our major key. So basically here we have D sharp in the end, and that's here, and that would be half a step up here. That's E. So either we're in E major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? That's our E major scale. To find out its relative minor, we need to go to its 6th scale degree. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And so that is C sharp, so either we are in C sharp minor or its relative major, E major, okay? So there's something about this piece which is important for you to know. Not every piece starts with its own key. it actually can have an introduction and then the main melody can come. So in this case, we should look actually into where the vocals come for the actual song. And that is the second page, okay? And here we actually have... Okay, so these notes, because on the left hand we have E and B, and then on the right hand we have E. Da, da, da. Okay, so basically we're only missing one note in the middle. Okay, so we add a G sharp, and that's basically an E major triad. And so this is important because if we were in C sharp minor scale, and we would actually have a C sharp in that chord, because our main chord would be this, right? And this, the way that it would sound if it was in C sharp minor is this. Right? Whereas it's here. Okay, so we are in fact in E major because we don't have a C sharp in these sections at all. That is not our tonic key, and tonic means the first degree, our home key. Okay, the triad based on the first scale degree of our scale. Okay, so in this case the tonic would be E, G sharp, and B. Okay, because that is the first root position triad of E major scale, okay? Great. You can find out more about chords if you have a look at the document attached about chords of a scale, okay? Wonderful. Let's keep going then. So let's figure out the notes of the right hand. We start with E. Okay, and then we have steps going up, and make sure you look at the key signature, the sharps, so that you don't miss them. So we have F sharp and then G sharp. Here we go. So we go in steps up. Okay, these are the notes of the E major scale, in fact. And then we go to the next set of notes. So we go da 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 da. So basically, this is all in our hand position. So this is important for you to note, okay? These are the first 5 notes of the E major scale. Okay? Okay, so you can just block them. So what I'm going to do now is basically I will play for you in 60 BPM this section, and you can have a look and imitate what I'm doing with the right finger numbers, okay? I've written the finger numbers in for you so that you can apply them directly. Do not change the finger numbers unless you really want to, okay? Alright, so let's start. Alright. 2, 3. Wonderful. As we had previously analyzed from the rhythm, we have 2 phrases, and let's look at the notes. So, and the first phrase, the notes are in this register, and then the second time it comes, it actually the same notes, yeah, but then just an octave below. Okay. And then until here it's the same. Here we have different notes. Okay, whereas before it was like this, it was going down. So now you can also pay attention to which direction the notes are going, and that's going to help you really internalize the music and memorize it. Okay, wonderful. So let's go to the next section. Bar 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great job. So this is very easy, right? Because we have basically the same thing happening. So many times. This is the part where it's syncopated, remember? So and then same thing, same thing, same thing. Just the ends are different of these two phrases, which goes da 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 bum bum. Okay, but this time both these phrases are the same notes and the same rhythm. Okay, great. So let's keep going. Next page. That is bar 17. Go. So now we have our song that starts with the vocals. This is exciting. You will recognize the theme. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Okay, that is great. So we had, again, the section that is divided into two big phrases, and this is really beautiful. We will talk about phrasing and dynamics later, okay? But for the moment, just realize that we have this register, the E's, and remember, always, please look at the finger numbers, because we have repeating E's in the first measure. And the reason why I put the thumb on the first beats is because our thumb is naturally strong. So when you do that, it actually shapes the phrase the way we want to, but naturally, without us actually putting an effort to do that. So, okay, so make sure you are aware of these finger numbers, and eventually, you know, you can just block these. So these are the 4, 2, 3, 4 notes. Okay, and then same thing happens here, just with an additional lower note. Okay, which is B. Okay, and then the lower note goes down and up and skip up, and then one more note. So this is in fact the E major triad, but just first inversion. So the root position would be E, G sharp, and B, but we have G sharp, B, and E. Okay, so that actually goes here. So we have. All right. So far it's quite straightforward. Let's keep going. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Two. Great. So as you realized, again, we have this phrase that repeats, okay? The first time it actually ends bar 39 with a whole note, right? And then we have that da 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 da. It's even stronger this time. It comes same register but added notes. Okay, and another. Okay, and this one is B major, root position triad. Okay, this one is C sharp minor. Okay, this is actually second inversion. So. Okay, so and an octave up and. Okay. Okay, so the end is different, and remember we have one more bar that repeats here. In terms of rhythm it's exactly the same, but in terms of notes, bar 47 has the thumb that plays an A instead of B. Okay, so so the effect is. It is the last effort before we finish, and let's go to that coda section. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you see as that kind of zigzaggy line is basically to break the arpeggio. Break the chord into arpeggio. So instead of playing at the same time, you do, and you hold on to all the notes, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Great. So we have now looked at the right hand notes. Let's actually go to the left hand now. The left hand notes are going to be quite straightforward. We have whole note beats. So we have C sharp and G sharp with the finger numbers 3 and 1. Right? And then we have 4, 1 and 2, 5. Okay, and 4, 1. Same thing repeats. And then same thing. But this time it's on measure 9, we actually reverse. So we invert them. Instead of C sharp and G sharp, we have G sharp and C sharp. Okay, so the interval, it changes from perfect fifth interval to a perfect fourth interval. Okay? Alright, and then it goes down. 3, 1, 2, 5, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 5, 3, 1. Very easy. So let's do this in the right time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Great, let's go to the next page. And before we do that, actually, just remember, you don't need to really hold on to the notes between the chord changes. So you can hold to the whole measure, but then you can kind of lift your hand up. But the reason why I chose those finger numbers is at least for you to be able to make attached legato one voice, okay, either the lower one in this case. So that is why we have 3 on the bass, and then 4, and then 5. Okay, so that should be easy, and then just forget about the thumb. Don't try to attach it because it's impossible, right? So that's going to be detached, while the left voice, the bass notes, are going to be legato. Okay. All right, so let's go to the next section. This is a section where we have straightforward quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing happens here. Hold, rest, and same. This is different. Here, same. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. So if you realize, basically we have these, okay, these two chords, and then we have first time, and then same notes, okay? And by the way, let's analyze what chords these are. So this is tonic, right? It is E major, okay? And then this one, that is actually B major, okay? Because the right hand has that D sharp, okay? And then we have A major, okay? And then back to B major. So what are the functions of these chords? Let's find out. In E major, basically this is 1, and then B major in E major would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? That is the 5th scale degree, which is the dominant chord, okay? So that's our dominant chord, which means number 5, right? So we go from 1 to 5, and then how about this chord? Okay, so this is actually A major chord, okay? And A major is the 4th scale degree of E major, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So that is the subdominant. It means literally under the dominant, okay? So these are the most common chords of any pop song used in Western music. Okay, so we have 1, 5, 4, 5, and then 1, 5, 4, and then 1, 5, and then 4, and then 5 again, 1, 5, 4. Okay, so this is the same kind of chord progression, just with altered notes that belong to those chords. Okay, so now that you have that, you can actually even make up your own little theme from these chords. Okay, and improvise on top of that left hand if you want to, for fun. Okay, but now let's go to the next section. We have the climax of the song. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest again. Stop there. So basically the same thing happened 2 times, right? Let's have a look at the notes and the chords, okay? So the first one is C sharp minor chord, because we have C sharp, G sharp, and then E. That is our root position chord. In fact, that is just arpeggiated, and we call this kind of accompaniment, like a Mozart, like Alberti bass. That is the style of this, when you break the chords into these little classical kind of sounding accompaniments, okay? So C sharp minor, and then we have B major. So let's figure out what is C sharp in the E major scale. That is our 6th degree, which is basically the relative minor, remember? So it's important, it plays a big part. So we have, and then we have the B major, okay, triad, root position. So you just have to go down a step, okay? And then what's the next chord is, okay, so that's A major, remember? So that is 4th scale degree, which is a subdominant chord, and then back to dominant. And here we have 6, 5, 4. Okay, again the same thing happens. 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4. And then last time we have actually 5, and then we have the next part. Alright, cool. So we have very straightforward chords, mainly those 4 chords that we use, and just make sure whenever you're trying to analyze any chord, make sure you build the chord in its root position, meaning you have to layer them up in intervals of 3s, okay? So for example, if this is your chord, okay, the way to find out what chord this is to really see, okay, so that is G, that's E, and then that's C. So how can I make a chord out of this that's root position? Basically it would be same notes, C, E, and G. Okay, then we find out it is actually C major. And it could be another chord, like for example the bass note could be different. Let's say F, D, and A. Okay, so what is this chord? Again, we find the most sort of efficient position, which is 3 to 3 to 3, right? Intervals of 3s, layered up, stacked up. And so that would mean that D is below that F, because that is an interval of 3, and then A is here, above the F, okay? So we have a D minor root position chord. So that is the fastest way to find out what chords we are in, okay? Great, so let's actually go to the next section. We have these notes that we already learned before, C sharp and G sharp, and then we go down, B and F sharp, and then A and E, and then B and F sharp, and then finally we have the chord that is broken, so it's the E major chord that we have. Alright, with an octave here, and then a B in the middle. Great! So now we found out the notes of the left hand and right hand. Let's combine them together. Alright, so let's now combine the hands with the same 60 BPM metronome click. I will play it for you, and make sure you now pay attention to the dynamics and articulation markings, okay? And the finger numbers as well. Alright. Whenever the shape of the melody goes up, I will go up in volume and go down in reverse, okay? Mezzo piano is the starting point, so it is medium soft. I will make sure to change the pedal every time the bass note changes, okay? Bass chord changes. Here, and change, and change. So when I say change, you actually go up and then down again, okay? 1, 2, 3. That is it. Great. So let's actually play it in normal tempo. Just make sure that your hands are all ready and perfect without any rhythmic difficulties and note difficulties. Then you can combine them, and please practice slow before you practice it fast. I will now play for you the full piece in free time. So this is when you've practiced with the metronome many times, and then you're free to really kind of experiment with the tempos of the phrases. You can stretch it, you can do a little bit more fast. So let's do that, and I will choose a little bit similar to 90 BPM but not metronomic, okay? The idea is that you can put in your artistry and self-expression into this piece, okay? Because it's very romantic. Crescendo, mezzo forte, and decrescendo. You can slow down a little bit here, and then great. I've changed slightly some of the finger numbers just because it is my own kind of personal choice, but not because they're correct, but I'm just used to those things and I like changing finger numbers, but do not do that. Please stick to the ones here unless you have a better option for yourself, and then in that case please write down the number before you forget, okay? That is really important. One more thing I wanted to actually mention is something super important in romantic music and classical music, where the right hand has the melody and the left hand has accompaniment, is when the right hand is doing the singing voice, you have to have that louder than the left hand, okay? So here, for example, you don't do the same volume level with both hands. You don't do right, because the left hand is going to be really ugly if you keep doing that. So always make sure, even when it says forte, it's going to be the left hand that is a lot more passive, okay? It should let the right hand sing, okay? Time and the end of phrases like that. Just experiment and send me your progress videos. You can use the Facebook community page, or you can use the forum on the course website. Thank you so much for taking this class. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really wish you best of time when you're practicing it. Don't forget to share your progress videos with me. You can tag me, AyseDeniz, on Instagram, or tag Borderless Piano to get a shout out. Alright, good luck and see you soon.